My people, what's good? 100 years of wealth here. Thank you for tapping in. Hey, look, I want to make a video right now because your boy Nikola Jokic, he's all the talk, right? The questions people have, is he as good as they say? Is he as good as winning 3 out of 4 of the last MVPs, right? Let me just double check that. MVP, right? So, yep, is he as good as actually winning 3 out of 4, right? Because when you win 3 MVPs, that really puts you in a category that's up there with the GOATs. But obviously, you can't really compare games, especially, you can't really get into that conversation. It's really a hard comparison when you start to think about style of play, size, stuff like that. What I will say is this. I at first, when I was watching his game, I was kind of, I don't want to say downplaying it, but I was kind of thinking that a lot of his success was not to say he wasn't obviously skilled and really good, but I was thinking a lot of it was due to the fact that the league had went small ball. So you have like a smaller league, and then you have like when you do have bigger skilled players come along that can kind of do multiple things, like Nikola Jokic, what's one of the Lopez brothers that plays in Milwaukee. You have someone that can step out and shoot, but also still drive with some speed and have a post game. Giannis, obviously, Embiid, right? So when you have these big men that can also, shoot and step out on the perimeter as well as play in the post, and they have like a high skill level, I felt for a while that it was really because the league had gotten so small or focused on small ball that these guys are, having an easier time. I will say that that's part of what I think is some of their success at times, because a lot of times you'll see that these dudes will go up against teams where if the other team doesn't just have like a big guy, or if they only have one big guy that's just not on their level, then you just have like they're dominant. It's easy for them to just back someone down from the 3 point line sometimes, and not get much resistance. And I think that's because you have a lesser focus on big men, right? Like there used to be a time where the big man was the person that was the focus of the draft, right? Because of size and post up and down low ability, the 2-man game between a guard and a big man. But then it changed to where it was more, hey, how many great shooters can we get on the team? It was more about like, yeah, shooting and spreading the floor as opposed to having a dominant big man, right? So I do think that when you bring in really strong big men like Jokic that has a blended game, especially he has that Euro game, as well as like a traditional big man game, you're gonna have trouble, and they're gonna have a high level of success because they're not always gonna face size on the other side. Like just think about this. Imagine Nikola Jokic, you know, playing against a big baby Davis, right? Big baby Davis, Kendrick Perkins, obviously he's way more of a skill player than them. But those are the type of players that they're going to put on him just to put size on him to where he has trouble getting in there. And then you have at different genres where you have Horace Grants or Dale Davises, like from the 90s, that they were like staples on teams. Every team had a big small forward that was at least 6'8" to 6'10", kind of yoked, and then you had the big, center. So you just have more size that made it harder for these dudes to kind of move around. So nowadays it seems like you don't have that as much, and if you do have some size, these guys aren't really traditional like small forwards. They're more like like let's say a Hachimura, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's got size on him, but he's not really in there banging around like you know what I mean. Like he's there to be a shooter, slasher. He's fast. But when you get a Nikola Jokic, when he was trying to guard Nikola, it was tough for him, even though he's probably just as skilled as Nikola. Nikola's just wider, bigger with that same skill set. But my point on that was that for a while I was thinking that it was really just, or a lot of it was just the smaller size. As I watch him more, and I see the skill set, his full skill set, ultra impressive, and I think that he is, it's just, I don't want to say underrated because he's obviously been the MVP, but I do think some people don't give him enough credit because his game doesn't look like a traditional person that you put in that spot. He's not a LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant, a Michael Jordan, a Giannis Antetokounmpo, you know what I mean, D Wade, right? Like he is. Who could I compare him to from past genres? I don't know. It's hard to say. He's definitely his own unique player, but you did have players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that if you go back and watch, he had similar footwork, a lot of back to the basket, or Jokic will go back to the basket and has the most clever footwork. I'll try to line that up in the video so you guys can see some highlights of what I'm talking about. But most clever footwork, some of the things I've seen him recently do in this playoff series against Minnesota were highly impressive. Crazy footwork. Trick, the other day and I'll line this up right here, where he did this move where it was like a double pump fake, right? Like back to the basket, double, and then it looked like on the third one he's about to go up for the shot and just hit this sweet little pass. So he's definitely what they like to say, a high IQ player, and I think all these players are high IQ players, right? Like if you're in the NBA, you have an above average IQ of basketball, but I think that there are exceptions that you could see that they are moving a little quicker, seeing everything happening, and they're making it look stylish as hell. So I got a lot of, I want to give a lot of props to him, and I like his game a lot. And even though he has a crazy ass shot, like my man will shoot like this. Like I coach these kids at a junior high, and I always try to tell them like you gotta line your shot straight up. But Nikola will come this way, but it'll get lined up. It'll come like that, and just like a slingshot. But he's got game, man, and he's really hard to stop. Partially because of that shot, he'll put that back right here, even if he's in the post, he'll come around the post. When he turns around, that thing's going to be back here, and he's releasing from up here. He has crazy touch, like that's the stuff that I'm watching that really allows me to be like, okay, this isn't any BS. This isn't hype, right? Like he's a true baller. He's got the touch. He knows how to back you down. I always respect basketball players that have a full array, right? Like the other day he took it to the lane and dunked on Anthony Edwards, right? He's like, hey, look, if you give me that, I'm gonna take it, right? Like, and even if you're not giving it to me, I'm gonna try to take it. But he's that type of player where whatever he sees that he can get, because there's a weakness, he's going to take it and he's going to go directly to it. And I really do like that. So I would say any kids out there watching basketball, pay attention to him and don't look at it like, well, I can't do that because of size. It's not about that, right? Like he can be playing against a 7-footer, and who was he playing against that just had great athleticism and they couldn't really do anything. It might have been who was it? Anthony Davis, probably Karl Anthony Thompson. They've obviously had success against him as well. But my point is that you'll see moments where even the most athletic person can't stop him because of the fact that it's just clever footwork, patience. And what I like about him, I'll sound like an old school dude right here, but like the new NBA does a lot of it's a lot of deception, trickery. You don't know if it's travel. You don't know if it's carryover. They've taken the rule of carrying, the ball to the maximum, where it's just like, dude, I don't see that with him. There's a lot of players where you don't see that in their game, and I like that because, if you're bending the rules to the maximum, people could call it gamesmanship, I guess. But to me, it's like certain things are more like you're taking an advantage and you're getting a unfair advantage. It's kind of like flopping, right? If you can trick a referee into calling a foul on someone, all right, cool, dude. Like that's not, that doesn't make you a more elite player. You know what I mean? Now, if like now if you can pump fake a jump shot and get them in the air and then make contact, right? Like that's a little different to me, right? But flopping, that's less of something that I would think is part of the skill set, So my point is on carrying and stuff like that. I feel like it waters down the actual game because you'll see like your boy on OKC, Gildress Alexander. I like him. I think his game's pretty dope. But then a lot of times I see him like doing very questionable like like I'm like, dude, you can't put your hand under the ball, and even sometimes they're like right here holding that shit. Like if it's not carry, it might be discontinued dribble or something. But the refs, I feel like these dudes, if they even play basketball, like a lot of these refs are just like, okay, well, hey, whatever he did, it works. But hey, look, please like and subscribe. 100 Years of Wealth. You stay up.